While 5 million people were afraid of a stranger, one woman was afraid of a name.
A name she knew well, a name she should be afraid of.
October 2002, Clinton, Maryland. She is living in the suburbs south of Washington with her 3 children. She watches the same coverage as everyone else.
The faceless sniper, the white van, the lone white male that experts keep describing.
And she does not believe a word of it.
Because the experts are describing a stranger, and she is the one person in America who knows this isn't all about strangers.
Every shooting is in proximity to an area she's fled to. The timing fits a man she knows better than anyone alive. And for 2 years, she has been telling people that he intends to kill her.
Her name is Mildred.
Her ex-husband gave himself a new name the year before, John Allen Muhammad.
The country spent 23 days asking who and why. She never had to ask either one.
She picked up the phone early on and tried to tell them.
A woman calling police to say she thinks the most wanted man in America is her ex-husband. You can imagine how well that went.
The strangers were just the cover. She was the point, and he was the sight.
This is the DC Sniper, part 2 of 3.
Sneaky footsteps in the night, clues that vanish out of sight. Grab your hat and magnifying glass. We'll talk this case and have a blast. Mugshot mysteries, we're on the trail. Twists and turns that never fail. Laughs and chills, it's quite the show. Who did it? Tune in to know.
Welcome to Mugshot Mysteries.
I'm Gabriel.
And I'm Catherine.
Every story has a starting point. And this one, well, it begins years before the nation would learn the name DC Sniper.
He's not born John Allen Muhammad. He's born John Allen Williams, the last day of 1960, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. His mother dies of cancer when he's small, and his father's gone. He's raised by an aunt and a grandfather in a house with very little warmth in it.
Charming when he wanted something, furious when he didn't get it. Those 2 traits, like childhood traits are wont to do, they never leave him.
People who met him describe a magnetism. He could walk into a room of strangers and then just walk out with followers.
Remember that. The same charm that failed at every business he ever ran worked perfectly on a lonely child.
He joins the National Guard and then the Army, a combat engineer. He serves in the Gulf War in 1991, and he qualifies as an expert marksman with the M16.
Not a sniper. The whole country called him a trained military sniper for 3 weeks. He never held that specialty.
What the Army certified was simpler. A soldier who could put a round where he aimed it.
You didn't need to be a sniper for what was coming. You need a man who could hit a still target at 100 yards and feel nothing. The Army builds those by the thousand.
And his record isn't clean. There were definitely discipline problems. A court-martial is in his file. At one point, he is absent without leave.
A man who could not take an order, learning the one skill the Army gives that does not require taking any: how to shoot.
And there is a darker mark on his service. During the Gulf War, a grenade went off in a tent of his own fellow soldiers. Now, he was suspected, but nothing was ever proven.
An allegation, not a conviction, but hold it next to what he became. The first time the word killer ever brushed his name, the targets were the men on his own side.
There is a first marriage before any of this. A wife named Carol and a son, Lindbergh.
A first family he leaves behind. A pattern, if anyone had been standing far enough back to see one.
Somewhere in these years, he converts to Islam, and for a time, he is close to the nation. In 1995, he helps work security at the Million Man March in Washington.
People wanted that to be the motive. A faith, a cause. It's not there.
His grievances run all through his life, against the government, against authority, against the country he felt trained him and then just threw him away.
But none of it adds up to a reason to shoot a landscaper in Maryland. The cause everyone went hunting for, it doesn't exist. When you finally find the real one, it's in a custody order.
He marries Mildred Green in 1988, and they have 3 children over the next several years: Selena, Talaba, and the youngest John, Little John.
And here's a part that is true. The part that is not a lie. He loved those 3 kids.
By every account, was devoted.
Hold that word. His devotion to those children is the one honest thing in him. It is also the thing that kills 10 strangers.
The 1990s, Tacoma, Washington. He tries business after business, an auto shop, a karate school, and each one fails.
The outside collapses. The inside of the marriage, it curdles to match.
Mildred would later describe a husband who grew controlling, then frightening. Not one explosion, a slow tightening of a screw.
The money, the contacts, where she could go, charming at the door, someone else behind it.
No black eye, no broken arm, nothing a system is actually built to see.
The kind of danger that gets a woman killed, because everyone keeps waiting for the bruise.
In 2002, none of this was visible, because the country was staring at a faceless sniper. Take the rifle out of the story and take a look at what's left.
A controlling man, a woman trying to leave, timeless.
The marriage ends, divorce, a custody fight over the 3 kids, and Mildred gets protective orders.
On paper, she is now a woman who has told the system she is afraid of her husband.
She would recount the threat that never left her, that he told her she had become his enemy, that she would never raise their children.
Not a man who wants custody, a man who decided that if he could not have them, the whole arrangement had to be destroyed, burnt to the ground. The system files all of it as a bad divorce. There are thousands of those.
And a protective order is just a piece of paper. It assumes the other person fears a consequence.
He did not. He had already decided the law did not apply to him when it came to what was his. A restraining order against a man like that is a note left for someone who can't read.
And then, March 2000, he does the thing that kind of tells you who he is. He takes the children, all 3, and he literally disappears.
Not a weekend, not a state line.
Yeah, he takes them out of the country. And for more than a year, Mildred does not know if her children are even alive.
14 months, a mother who does not know if her kids are fed, in school, sick, or in the ground.
She files reports and she begs anyone who will listen. But a father who takes his own children does not move every system the way a stranger would. And the kids are not even in the country anymore.
He showed the world exactly who he was in the year 2000. He would vanish off the face of the earth before he would lose what he believed was his.
And literally nobody read it as a warning.
It looked like an ugly custody case. It was the one where the father had been trained to kill and would eventually decide to.
Where he goes is Antigua, a small island in the Caribbean. He brings the 3 children and sets up a life off the books.
And the way he makes his money tells you the rest.
Forged documents, false papers, fake identities, helping people get the paperwork they need to reach the United States.
A fraud operation, 3 abducted kids in the house, and a reputation around town as a mentor to young people.
That reputation matters. He did not only mentor one boy, he gathered young people around him, taught them, fed them, made himself the center.
A man who collects children. Some people would have called that generous. It was inventory.
His own 3 are with him this whole time. Selena, Talaba, Little John, told whatever story a father tells to explain, why their mother's gone.
He did not just take them. He rewrote their world so the theft would feel like a rescue. He was good at that. It's the same thing he's about to do to someone else.
Because it is in Antigua that he meets a teenager. Quiet, bright, badly neglected. Lee Boyd Malvo. Born in Jamaica in 1985, father absent, his mother, Una James, moves for work constantly and leaves him with other people again and again.
By the time he's a teenager, he's been abandoned more than once. A kid with a hole in him, the exact shape of a father.
People who knew Malvo before describe a polite, watchful boy, good in school when he was allowed to stay in one, and desperate to belong.
Not a violent kid, a lonely one. Write that down, because it is true at the start and it is the whole question at the end.
And into that loneliness steps John Muhammad, an American, a veteran, a man with 3 children of his own who calls this strange, isolated boy son.
Not with violence, with attention.
He gives a fatherless child the one thing he is starving for,
And he gets back the one thing no hired man could ever give him: total devotion.
Now, Una drifts in and out chasing work, chasing a route to America, and every time she leaves, Muhammad fills the space.
He doesn't have to steal the boy. The boy is handed to him over and over, all by absence.
Una does try at points to pull her son back, to reclaim him.
Too late, and not hard enough to break what Muhammad has built. By then, the boy has already chosen the man who stayed.
The boy has two parents competing for him now. One keeps leaving, and the other is building him a purpose.
It's not a fair fight. It was never gonna be.
And the timing is almost surgical. Just as he gains this devoted, fatherless boy, he's about to lose his own 3 children for good. 2001. Mildred, working through the courts and the people who knew where the kids might be, finds them. Authorities return Selena, Talaba, and Little John to their mother, and she is given custody.
He loses completely. The children he carried across an ocean, gone, handed back to the woman he blames for all of it.
That is the wound.
Everything the world would later call senseless grows straight out of it.
Muhammad and Malvo come to the United States. The boy and his mother enter the country, and in December 2001, immigration detains them in Bellingham, Washington. Malvo is fingerprinted and released.
It goes nowhere at the time, a routine hold on a teenager.
But those prints go into a federal database.
10 months later, a fingerprint off a liquor store counter in Alabama comes back with this boy's name on it. The system that could not stop what was coming had already, by accident, filed the one thing that would end it.
Malvo chooses Muhammad over his own mother, and so he leaves her, and Muhammad begins to remake him.
Grooming is the only honest word for it.
That's true. He controls the diet, strict vegetarian. He controls the body, exercise and discipline. He controls the day, hour by hour. And he controls the mind, hours of instruction, scripture and grievance in the plan, a steady feed of violent films and shooter games.
Conditioning, a way to make killing feel rehearsed and unreal before it was ever real.
He lectures the boy for hours on discipline, on race, on a coming war and the role Malvo will play in it.
He's not raising a son. He's writing on a blank page, every day, with no one else allowed near that pen.
He gives the boy a new name to use, new papers, a new story about where he came from and who he answers to.
Erase the child, install the soldier. By the end, even Malvo's name was something Muhammad handed him.
He keeps the boy moving, dependent completely on him, away from his mother, from school, from anyone with a competing version of the world he's creating.
By the time it mattered, Muhammad was not the most important voice in Lee Malvo's life. He was the only one.
They train with rifles. The expert marksman teaches the boy to shoot, and they practice for months. Out on a property in Washington state, they fire at a tree stump. Months later, investigators dig the rounds out of that stump and match them to the rifle from the rest stop.
The training left evidence in a tree. A man teaching a child to kill, one round at a time.
And he tests him, small obediences, building towards the only test that ever mattered.
Whether the boy would put a round into a human being on command.
The answer, when it came, was yes.
He did not build a partner. He did not build a son.
He built an instrument, a minor the whole time, 16 when it started.
In part 1, we told you the boy pulled from that car was not a partner. This is what we meant. By the time the shooting started, there may not have been enough of Lee Malvo left to call him one.
How responsible that makes him is the question that we will hold for part 3.
It does not have an easy answer. Right now, we're only telling you what was built and how.
What Muhammad pours into the boy is not only training, it is a plan. And Malvo would later lay it out in detail.
Enormous, methodical, and at its edges, completely detached from the earth.
Phase 1, the Washington area. Random sniper attacks, unsolvable until the government pays to make it stop.
The number was $10 million.
That is the demand from the letter in part 1, 4 pages pinned to a tree behind a Virginia steakhouse.
And at the time, it read like a thrill killer who tacked on a ransom. It was phase 1 of a written business plan, and the bodies were the leverage.
And the operation underneath it was engineered. They cased locations. They timed escape routes. They cut a hole in a car so a man could fire from inside the trunk.
The randomness the public saw was the most carefully built thing in this entire plan.
Phase 2 is where it leaves the ground. With the money, he would go north into Canada and build a compound.
And fill it with boys, orphans, the lost and abandoned, children like the one he had already turned.
Malvo described a number, more than 100 young men, trained the way he was trained, sent out across the country to do what the two of them did in Washington, everywhere, at once.
The stated goal in his account was to destabilize the entire United States.
And he described it in chilling specific detail. Shootings, then bombings, targets that would include children, a second wave built to break the country's nerve completely.
A teenager reciting the end of America like a lesson he had memorized. Because that is exactly what it was. A lesson taught by the only true teacher he had ever had and the only one that was left.
It is grandiose to the point of drunken delusion.
And the easiest thing in the world is to laugh it off. Until you remember, 10 people are dead, a nation is frozen, families are shattered.
The grandiose part never happened. The part that did, one man, one boy, one rifle, one modified car, was carried out with total competence.
The fantasy was insane. The execution, it was not.
And by the time the plan was live, Malvo believed in it.
Not a frightened kid dragged along, a true believer, because Muhammad spent 2 years building the believer the plan required.
The boy thought he was a soldier. He thought it meant something.
Muhammad did not just train a marksman. He manufactured conviction in a child, so the child would aim, it would fire, and it would feel righteous doing it.
And it divided the work in a way that mattered. The man planned, often the boy fired.
A commander and his only soldier. 2 people for one trigger so that each could tell himself the weight belonged to the other.
And folded inside all of it, inside phase 1, was the real reason.
The 10 million, the compound, the army of boys, decoration, around one thing.
He was going to kill Mildred. Before Washington, there was a trail. Across 2002, the two of them moved across the country and left bodies that no one connected until both men were in custody.
And it begins with the original wound.
February 16th, 2002, in Tacoma, Washington. A 21-year-old woman named Kenya Cook opens her front door. She, unfortunately, is shot in the face and killed.
She had no enemies.
But the home was tied to a woman named Issa Nichols. Nichols had done bookkeeping for Muhammad, and she had taken Mildred's side in the custody fight.
The first bullet in this whole saga is aimed at someone who helped his ex-wife. 8 months before in Maryland, before the white van, before the tarot card.
Malvo later confessed to it.
The personal motive is not something investigators dug up at the end. It is sitting there in the very first body.
Through the spring and summer, the shootings and robberies continue. A man shot dead on a golf course in Tucson, Arizona. Holdups and shootings in Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, Maryland.
They lived out of the Caprice and cheap motels. No address. That is part of the why the trail stayed invisible.
They crossed the country more than once that year. The Northwest, down through the South, up the East Coast, thousands of miles.
A man and a boy in an old sedan, drifting through ordinary American towns. And in more than one of them, someone did not live to see them leave.
A killing in Arizona, a killing in Louisiana, a killing in Alabama, weeks and hundreds of miles apart. To local police, each one is just that, local.
Nobody was standing back far enough to see the line. The only 2 people who could see the whole line were the 2 people that were drawing it.
September 15th, 2002, Brandywine, Maryland. A man named Muhammad Rashid is shot outside a liquor store. Now he survives.
Days before the spree, the country remembers. Same state, same method, and it registers as a robbery.
September 21st, 2002, Montgomery, Alabama. The liquor store. Claudine Parker killed. Her young coworker shot through the neck and left alive.
We told that in part 1 as a break in the case. The fingerprint that finally produced a name.
Now, here is where it actually belongs. Not the beginning of anything.
One more stop on a tour that had been killing for 7 months and was almost at its destination.
September 23, 2002, Baton Rouge. Hong M. Ballinger, who ran a beauty supply store, was shot and killed as she closed up. Her bag was taken. These were store clerks, shop owners, people closing up at the end of a shift, working people counted later as line items in a spree.
Phase 1 had a budget. The budget was paid in their lives.
September 5th, 2002, Clinton, Maryland. A restaurant owner named Paul LaRufa is shot as he closes for the night. He also survives. They take his cash and a laptop.
It comes out of the trunk of a blue Caprice 7 weeks later at a rest stop off Interstate 70.
The trail and the capture were always the same story.
It just took 23 days of terror in the middle for anyone to read it that way.
The pieces were all on the board the whole time, in different jurisdictions, in different files, with no one holding all of them all at once. 7 months, at least 7 states, a toll that climbed while the country had no idea any of it was connected.
By the time anyone gave it a single name, the Beltway Sniper, the man behind it had already been killing coast to coast since winter.
By the time it was all connected, the violence linked to these two across 2002 reached well past the 10 around Washington. Most accounts count 17 killed and 10 wounded.
2 people, 1 rifle, a car, a wound the width of the country. When it was over, a trail of scars left behind.
Which leaves the only question that actually explains the case. Of every city in America, why does it happen around Washington?
Because that is where Mildred lived.
When she got her children back in 2001, she moved to the Maryland suburbs of Washington, in part to put distance between her family and her ex-husband.
She moved there to get away from him.
And the attacks ignited in exactly that ring. Aspen Hill, Wheaton, Silver Spring, Clinton.
The map of the terror is drawn around her front door.
If you want to murder your ex-wife, you are the first suspect the police will ever look at. The husband always is.
So you make her death meaningless. You spend weeks killing strangers at random until the whole country is sure a faceless lunatic is shooting whoever happens to be outside.
And then one morning, she steps out of her house and she's shot. And she is victim number 11.
One more random name on the list, and the grieving father, nowhere near the scene, quietly recovers his 3 children.
10 people were not killed instead of Mildred.
10 people were killed so that Mildred could be.
Their deaths were the disguise her death was meant to hide inside. That is what we meant at the end of part 1. The randomness was the design.
And it almost worked.
If she had been shot during those 23 days, she is one victim in a string with no connection to each other. Killed by a sniper the whole country agreed was choosing at random.
The one detail that cracks a case like this, that the dead woman had a violent ex who abducted her kids, gets buried under 9 other victims who had no ex, had no enemy, no reason.
He understood the connection to Mildred was his only liability.
So he solved it the way he solved everything. Overwhelming force. He would drown the connection in strangers.
Investigators came to believe her neighborhood, her movements were known to him.
He did not need to hunt her. He knew where she would be. He only needed the noise around her loud enough to hide the one shot that actually mattered.
He came within one undelivered shot of walking away clean from his own wife's murder.
The plan was not flawed in its logic. The plan was monstrous, and it was sound.
The reason he did not get there is that they were caught asleep at a rest stop before Mildred ever stepped into the crosshairs.
The disguise was finished. The murder it was built to hide had not even happened yet.
And it changes how you hear everything from part 1. The tarot card, the call me God, the note that said your children are not safe.
We read those as a madman taunting the police. Some of it was performance, but the man who wrote your children are not safe was a man whose own life had just been detonated by the loss of his children.
The threat was not random either. It came from the deepest wound he had.
He weaponized the one thing that had been done to him and him only. He couldn't have his kids, so no one's kids were safe.
Every expert on television was hunting for meaning in the killings. finding none, and then calling the killer senseless.
They had it backwards. The killings were senseless on purpose. The senselessness was the product, manufactured one body at a time to hide a single murder that would have made perfect, ordinary, solvable sense.
All 23 days, Mildred is living inside the kill zone, watching the news, holding a certainty she cannot get anyone to act on.
The country is afraid of a mystery. She's afraid of a man with a name and a face and a history with her.
She would say plainly later that she believed early in the spree it was her ex-husband and that she was the target.
The world is looking for a stranger. She is trying to tell them it is her ex-husband.
She would describe the isolation of those days, protecting 3 children while privately certain of who was out there, weighing every trip out of the house.
The advice everyone got: vary your routine, stay alert, watch your surroundings. It means nothing against a man who already knows your face, your car, your kids, your habits.
For 2 years, she had been trying to get people to take the danger seriously.
And the answer women in her position get, then and now, is that a custody fight is private until something happens.
Yeah, and something happened.
It happened 10 times to 10 strangers before the people in charge reached the conclusion she had reached on day 1.
And then, the early hours of October 24th, a rest stop in Maryland, 2 men asleep in a blue Caprice. The names are released.
And one of them is the name she had been afraid of for 2 years.
Investigators would come to her, ask her about him, and she would tell them what she had known since the first week.
She didn't need the evidence explained to her. She had been the evidence all along. She just couldn't get anyone to read her until 2 men were asleep in a rest stop.
She was right about all of it. The man, the motive, the target.
Right the entire time, while 1,000 investigators and a parade of experts chased a white van and a phantom.
The person who understood this case most completely from the first week was the woman it was built to kill. And when the answer finally came, it simply just didn't feel like vindication. She had 3 children to tell that their father was the sniper.
The country got an answer that night. She got the worst version of the answer she already had. She survived.
And the years after, she spoke and wrote about what she lived through, a life built out of telling other women what almost happened to her so that they might see it sooner than she was allowed to.
She took the single most personal attack in modern American crime and turned it into a warning for strangers. The exact opposite of what he tried to make her, a name on a list.
She became an advocate for survivors of domestic violence, the kind that leaves no bruise and the systems around her could not take seriously until it had nearly cost her everything.
Strip away the rifle and the tarot card and the spy plane and the manhunt.
And at the center of the largest sniper investigation in American history is one of the oldest dangers there is.
A controlling man, a woman trying to leave, and how far he would go before he would let her.
So now we know what it was. Not random, not senseless.
A targeted murder, wrapped in 9 other murders to hide it.
Planned by a man who lost custody and could not survive the loss.
Carried out with a child he built for the purpose.
Both of them are in custody now. One designed the plan.
The other was designed by it.
And that is where the hardest part of this whole story begins. Not catching them.
Judging them.
The law is about to face 2 defendants who did the same things side by side and could not be less alike.
A 41-year-old architect of a massacre and a 17-year-old who was abandoned, found, and reshaped into a rifle by the man sitting next to him at the table.
One of them chose this as a grown man, with a lifetime of his own decisions behind him.
The other was a child when a stranger started carving him into this. Same crimes, 2 completely different questions.
How do you sentence a weapon?
How much of what Lee Malvo did belongs to Lee Malvo, and how much belongs to the man who made him?
The state is going to give its answer in a courtroom.
And we're going to give you ours. That is part 3.
Thanks for listening to Mugshot Mysteries. And if you enjoyed this episode, leave us a 5-star review. It really does help people find our show. And for more behind-the-scenes content, follow us on Instagram or TikTok at Mugshot Mysteries Podcast.
Sneaky glass. We'll talk this case and have a blast. Mugshot mysteries, we're on the trail. Twists and turns that never fail. Laughs and chills, it's quite the show. Who did it? Tune in to know. Stolen gem, a secret note, a shady figure in a trench coat. The clock is ticking, the plot gets thick. We'll crack this puzzle quick as a click. Mugshot mysteries, we're on the trail. Twists and turns that never fail. Laughs and chills, it's quite the show. Who did it? Tune in to know. Follow the breadcrumbs through the haze. Every clue's a piece in this